Hi, welcome back. This is your beginner flow, and for props today, we're going to be using a ball in the sitting box. I have my spring set at 2 reds and a blue, and we're going to get started with some footwork today. So we're going to come lying down on our backs, heads on the headrest, feet on the foot bar. Let's take that ball, we're going to put it just above our knees, so between our thighs, a little bit closer to our hips. We're going to give that ball a big squeeze and then separate your feet so they're in alignment with your knees. That might look a little bit different than hip width distance depending on the size of your ball. So we're going to give that ball a squeeze. We're going to place the arches of our feet on that foot bar. Take a second here, settle into that neutral spine, tilting that pelvis forward, creating that little bit of natural arch here in our low back. Find a little bit of activation in the core. And then as we inhale, we're going to press into our feet, send that carriage away from the stopper. Exhale, we're going to draw ourselves back into the stopper. And so we have this ball between our legs, a little bit of extra inner thigh activation here. If at any point in this series it's not feeling good in the body today, just set it off to the side. So finding a little bit of that mindful activation of the core. We're drawing the ribs down and together, and we're drawing our belly button down towards our spine. We're keeping that little bit of space between our low back and the mat. So if we had a tiny little blueberry underneath our low back, we wouldn't be squishing our blueberry. Keep a soft bend in the knees on the way out, stopping just before those knees start to lock. All right, last one here. We're going to come halfway in and hold. We're going to keep that carriage nice and still. We're just going to put little pulses into our ball with our legs here. So carriage stays still. We stay connected to our breath. We hold our neutral spine. We're just putting little pulses into our ball. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Give that ball big, big squeeze for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then press into your feet, send the carriage away. Bend the knees, come back in. Let's keep the feet parallel. Let's drop down to the toes. Find a little bit of a heel lift here. And then we're going to press into our feet, send that carriage away. Bend the knees, come back in. So we still have a little bit of tension in that ball. We're keeping the heels nice and lifted. So find a height that you feel like you can maintain here. Maybe that's an inch. Maybe it's full-blown Barbie feet as high as you can go. Maybe it's somewhere in between. We want to start to work on learning to articulate through that ankle joint. So we're going to work on strengthening this ankle joint by trying to keep those heels nice and lifted as we come in and out. Inhale sends that carriage away. Exhale draws you back into the stopper. Check in with that neutral spine. Make sure we still have that little bit of space here. Neutral spine is something I have to work to maintain throughout the whole series. It's not something I naturally have when I lift my feet up on that foot bar and add some spring tension. So if that's you, it's just something to be mindful of. Checking in every now and then. Couple more here. All right, and then last one here. We're going to press ourselves all the way away. We're going to come in halfway. Hold here. We've got our neutral spine, our core connection. We're just putting little pulses into our ball. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to send that carriage away and hold. Good. We're going to drop the heels under that foot bar, finding our calf raise. Oof, nice little stretch there. And then lifting the heels all the way back up. So as we've got the legs nice and long here, it's a little bit nicer to feel that neutral spine. So it's a little more natural to feel that spine when your body is all nice and long. So notice how that little bit of space feels in the body. We do have one more series or one more variation left in this series for footwork where we'll be bending and extending. So just take note of how that neutral spine feels as we have those legs nice and long. Last 2. And last one. We're going to lift the heels up, bend the knees, come all the way back in. Let's take the heels wide on that foot bar. Let's find our Pilates V position. Let's find our hands just up to the ceiling here. We're going to keep a little bit of tension in that ball. Draw the shoulders back down towards the carriage if you started to reach up towards the ceiling. Remember that neutral spine, remembering how that feels. We're going to hold it there. And we're going to lengthen through the legs, send the carriage away, bend the knees, come back in. Good. So we're just keeping a little bit of tension in that ball. Maybe we add a little extra pulse at the top so legs go long, a little extra squeeze into that ball. Bend the knees and come back in. We're keeping that neutral spine. Knees stay in line with that second toe. We still have that core activation here. Our inner thighs are active to keep that alignment, prevent that butterfly stretch from happening in those legs. Last two. And last one. We're going to come halfway in and hold here. We're just going to put little pulses into our ball with our hands. We're keeping our neutral spine. We're holding our squat. We still have our core connection. We're just starting to work those arms. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Give that ball big, big squeeze for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lengthen through the legs, send the carriage away, bend the knees, come back into the stopper. Nice job. All right, we're going to go into our bridge set next. So let's make sure that headrest is down. We're going to take that ball, we're going to put it back between our legs, give that ball a little squeeze, align the ankles with the knees. Remember, it might be different than hip width distance depending on the size of your ball. Good. We're going to start with either the heels or the arches on that foot bar. It's up to you. We're going to let those heels or arches rest. Our toes are going to relax forward out in front of us. Arms are going to be by the sides of our body, and we're just going to work on an articulating bridge here today. We're going to take a big inhale in. We're going to find our neutral spine. We have room for that little blueberry under our back right now. And then we're going to exhale, tilt the pelvis up. We're going to squish our blueberry, find our imprinted spine. And then we're going to start to peel ourselves away bone by bone until we find the high bridge. Take a sip of air at the top and then round through the spine. Come all the way back down, bone by bone. Take an inhale in, find that neutral spine, make room for your little blueberry. Exhale, tilt the pelvis up, squish that blueberry. Start to roll away from that mat. Good. We're just working on some articulation today, so we are peeling that back away, lower, middle, upper, to come up to our high bridge like we're peeling a piece of tape off of the wall. Take a little pause, a little sip of air, and then our exhale, we exaggerate that C curve and come back down, bone by bone, upper, middle, lower, like we're laying a string of pearls, back down onto a table. Good. Just getting the spine nice and warmed up helps support us throughout the rest of class. Trying to lift up with those hip bones nice and level. Carriage is staying in the stopper. And we're just going to find our high bridge position. We're going to hold here. We're going to put little pulses into our ball. So we really have those inner thighs nice and active. We've already pulsed so far in this class. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Big, big squeeze. Come all the way back down. Okay, we're going to take the ball into our hands. We're going to take the feet wide on the foot bar. This foot position is a bit more challenging. If it starts to get kind of crampy, you can add some more springs or pop your feet down to the platform. It'll feel a bit nicer here. Heels or arches on the foot bar. Toes relax forward. Find your external rotation. Hands are going to come up to the ceiling. Give that ball a little bit of squeeze. And we're just going to peel ourselves away, finding our articulating bridge all the way up to the top, and then around through the spine, coming all the way back down. So those outer glutes are working. This Y foot position kind of forces that to happen. And we're still keeping the carriage in the stopper. A little more challenging in this position, so do feel free to add some springs. The more springs that you have on in bridging, the heavier the springs become and the easier it actually is to keep the carriage in the stopper. And just a couple more here. And last one, we're going to find our high bridge position. We're going to hold here. We're going to put a squeeze into that ball. We're just going to open and close those knees out an inch, in an inch. We're keeping tension in that ball at the same time. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then around through the spine. Come all the way back down. We're going to keep the ball in the hands. We're just going to knock those knees side to side. Finding a little bit of stretch here, a little bit of release in that low back. All right, we're going to scooch ourselves away just a little bit here, making a little bit of space between our shoulders and the shoulder blocks. We're going to take this ball into our right hand. And you're going to press it against your right thigh. And then you're going to take your left hand. You're going to stack it on top of that right hand. Let's start with the feet on the foot bar for now. So this will be your nicest version here. We're just going to find a little crunch. So lift the head, neck, and chest. Put pressure into that ball. Elbows go wide. And then lower the head back down. You can stay here. If you would like to add on, maybe you lift your legs into a tabletop position and hold, imprinting that spine. So pressing that low back down into the carriage, and then continuing to lower and lift here, pressing into that ball. So a little bit more work for the low abs with the legs in tabletop. If that's not feeling good today, go ahead and pop them back down onto that foot bar. All right, couple more here. You can stick with this if you want to add on. Maybe you reach your left leg out long over that foot bar and hold. And then as that head comes down, left leg comes back into tabletop. Lift the head, neck, and chest, press into that ball. Left leg goes long. Release that pressure on that ball, head comes down, left leg back to tabletop. It's kind of like a little half single leg stretch variation. Good. Last two. And last one. Good. We're going to crunch up and hold. We're just going to put little pulses into our ball for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. We're going to come all the way back down. Take a little bit of a breather here. We're going to take the ball into our left hand. We're going to place it against our left thigh. And a little bit of pressure into that ball. Take the right hand, stack it on top of the left. We're just going to start with our nicest version here with the feet down on the foot bar. Lift the head, neck, and chest, eyes towards the thighs. And then relax everything back down. So as we lift up, putting a little bit of pressure into that ball, elbows come wide. And as we relax back down, our head comes back down, taking that pressure off that ball slightly. Stay here, or maybe you lift the legs into a tabletop position and hold, imprinting that spine, and then continue to lower and lift. Exhale as you lift, inhale as you lower. Good. So keeping that back nice and imprinted. So that low back pressing down into the carriage. Our feet are lifted up off that foot bar. Stay here, or maybe as you crunch up, lift that right leg out over the foot bar. Then as you come back down, right leg comes to tabletop. Crunch up, pressure in the ball, right leg extends over that foot bar, head comes down, right leg to tabletop. Good. Couple more here. And last one, we're going to hold that crunch up. We're going to put little pulses into that ball for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. Come all the way back down. Take your knees to your chest. Just rock side to side here. We're going to come to a seated position next. I'm just going to take that ball, set it off to the side, and I'm going to grab my long box. So go ahead and grab your box, and we're going to place it long ways on top of our carriage. And I'm going to change my springs to one blue spring actually. So we're going to change the springs to one blue spring. All right, make sure that box is in the center of your carriage, pressed up against the shoulder blocks. We're going to concede it on that box. Feet are going to be on the headrest. And then adjust yourself so your knees are over your ankles. Make sure when you look down you can see your toes. We're going to reach down and we're going to grab those straps where they are sewn together. So we're going to sit up nice and tall. Both our hands are going to reach forward, about shoulder width distance apart. Palms are facing in. Relax those shoulders down. We're going to open our arms out to a T. And then we're going to draw everything back together. So we have a blue spring on, which is a bit lighter. So that might feel kind of light for this first variation. If it does, you can continue to walk your hands up the straps, so you're gripping the straps a little bit higher. And if it feels too heavy, you can start to walk your hands down those loops. So the higher your hands are on these straps, the heavier things become. And the lower they are down closer to those handles, the lighter things become. We're sitting up nice and tall. We're drawing that low belly in. Gaze stays forward, chin away from the chest. Activating our shoulder blades as we find our T position. Last two. And last one. Arms come out to a T. Everything comes back together. We're going to move on to diagonals next, and it's going to be a little bit heavier. So I'm going to switch to my short loops here. We're going to start with the hands out in front of us once again, palms face in. We're going to draw the right arm down, the left arm up at a diagonal, and then everything comes back together to meet, palms facing in towards one another. So this is heavier here, especially on that arm that's aimed up towards the ceiling. So you might even want the long loops. If you do choose the long loops and you find that you're kind of hitting the stopper, like your range of motion just kind of, you don't have enough room for your range of motion, scoot your hips back on that box. It'll give you a little bit more room to move. Maybe add a little bit of a rotation here. So turning to look down towards that bottom arm. So if the left arm is lifted, the right arm is down. Turn to rotate to the right, looking down at that right hand. Hands come back together to meet, and then switch. Turning to look down towards that left hand. Couple more here. Last one each side. Good. Last one here. All right, we're going to bring the hands together to meet in front of our chest. And we're going to sit up nice and tall. We're just going to round through the spine. We're going to start to curl back and find a little bit of an ab curl here, a little bit of a C curve. And then we're going to come back up to seated. Good. So we're just finding a little bit of abdominal work here, a little bit of assistance happening since we do have some spring tension on. So we sit up nice and tall. We round through our spine. We lean back. We find our C curve. We hold for a moment here. And then we maintain that C curve as we come back up to a seated position. Good. Last one here. All right, we're going to go into an oblique twist. We're going to sit up nice and tall. We're going to draw the right elbow towards the back right corner of that box. Turn to rotate to the right. We're going to come back up through center, and then you're going to draw the left elbow to the back left corner of that box, and then come up to center. If your long loops are annoying you, you can always kind of grip the straps so they're not sort of flying around. I kind of just let mine be and deal with it. Whatever works best for you. Our knees are staying nice and straight and in alignment with one another. So the only thing that's rotating is the top half of our body here. Moving nice and slow like we're moving through honey. We want to resist the urge to make this an arm exercise. So we want to shift the focus into our obliques and use that tension to make it a little bit heavier on those obliques so we're not pulling on those straps. All right, last one here. We're going to turn all the way to the right and hold. We're just going to do little pulses for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming all the way back up to center, all around to that left side. Little pulses for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then coming all the way back up. Okay, we're going to take the hands forward. We're going to round back. Palms flip to face up. Sorry, forgot to mention that part. We're going to round back. We're going to find our C curve. So our hands are forward. Palms flip to face up. Elbows lifted. We are holding our C curve. We're going to find a bicep curl. So holding the C curve, it's going to make your abs work a little bit harder. So we're really focused on drawing that low belly down towards the spine. It's going to make it a little bit heavier on the arms. If this isn't feeling good today, just sit up nice and tall, and it'll feel a little bit nicer. You do always have those long loops there for you to make it a little bit lighter. Elbows stay nice and lifted. We're just bending and extending from that elbow joint. Last two. And last one. Find that bicep curl and hold. And then come all the way back up to that seated position. We're going to shake those arms out. We're going to hang those straps up onto the pegs. Good. We're going to step off of that box. We're just going to take that box and we are going to set it out of the way. We are going to come back to it later. Okay. I'm going to change my spring. So we're going to do side lying footwork. So red and blue is going to be your lighter option. 2 reds is going to be your heavier option. So it's up to you. And then if you would like to use your ball as a pillow, go ahead and grab your ball and take it with you. Some headrests, they come up pretty high. This one's actually pretty great, but since I have the ball, I'm going to use the pillow. So you can either pop the headrest up or ball as a pillow. It's up to you. We just want to make sure we have a nice straight line in that spine. We're going to come lying down on our sides, heads on the headrest or that ball. Good. And we're going to tuck that right knee in towards our chest. So I am laying on my right side right now. My right knee is tucked in towards my chest, resting on the carriage. My left foot is going to come up and find that foot bar. Good, and we're going to walk that heel forward slightly so your toes are hanging off of that foot bar. And we're just going to externally rotate that leg. So I want you to think about your hips. We still want the hips in one straight line. So we want to externally rotate by moving from this ball and socket hip joint here, not by knocking the pelvis back. Good. So shoulders are stacked, hips are stacked. We have a little external rotation in the left knee. We're lifting up through that right oblique, resting down on the carriage. Then we're going to press into the heel, send the carriage away, bend the knee, and come back in. So everything stays still here except for that left leg. And again, a red and a blue is going to be lighter. 2 reds is going to be heavier, so feel free to change your springs to make it a little bit nicer in your body or a little bit more challenging in your body today. Good. Inhale sends that carriage away. Exhale draws everything back in. Keeping a soft bend in knee on the way out. Everything's staying nice and still. We're lifting up through that right oblique, resting down on the carriage. I know it's kind of a funky, weird thing to learn. That's how you keep a neutral spine when you're lying on your side. And we're finding a little bit of activation in that outer glute with this slight external rotation here. Last 2. And last one. All right, we're going to come halfway in and hold. We're going to do little clamshells with that top leg. So we're going to drop that knee down so it's parallel to the ground, and then we're going to open it back up. Your foot is moving with you, so your foot externally rotates, and then it's parallel to the ground. If you have socks on, it'll be pretty annoying on the socks. That's how you know you're doing it right. Carriage stays as still as possible here. Last 2. And last one, we're going to find our foot in that parallel position. We're going to hold. And then we're just going to bend and extend with the foot parallel now. So now we want the knee, hip, ankle more or less in one straight line. For me, my foot bar is kind of high, so my foot does lift a little bit higher than the hip. We're more or less looking for that parallel position in the shin and in the thigh. Good. Hips are still stacked, shoulders still stacked. We have that little bit of space underneath that right oblique. So we're keeping our core activation as we bend and extend here. All right, just a couple more here. Last 2. And last one. We're going to come halfway in and we're going to hold. We're going to do little pulses, up an inch, down an inch. I don't know about you, but I am definitely feeling this in my left glute right now. Good. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lengthen through that left leg. Bend the knee, come back into the stopper. Whoops. Punch out that top hip. We're going to flip onto our backs. Let's take a little figure 4 stretch. My ball's pretty big, so it kind of causes me to cram into my chest. If that's you, just take it into your hands. Left ankle just above the right knee. We're going to pull that left foot closer to our face and find a nice little stretch for that left hip. Okay, we're going to take this ball. We're going to put it between our ankles. So this is once again going to kind of get our inner thighs working a little bit harder here. We're going to reach back. We're going to find either the short loops or the long loops in our hands. So you're either on a red and a blue or 2 reds, which is going to be a little heavy. So we're going to do an arm series. You might want the long loops to make it nicer. I'm going to start with the short loops for now and see how it goes. Good. So we're going to press into our feet, send the carriage away until the hands are over those shoulders. Round through the spine. Press your low belly into the mat. Lift your legs up to a tabletop position and hold. Straight arm lower and lift. Straight arms go down by your side. Straight arms go up to the ceiling. So we want to stop when those hands are over the shoulders. So we don't want to go beyond that shoulder joint today. We want to keep those muscles nice and active. Remove that ability to use momentum. We're moving nice and slow, like we're moving through honey. So you want to resist that urge to really pull down on the straps. So imagine like you're moving through honey. Good. And then again, this might feel a little bit heavy. So if it does, and you have your hands in the short loops, change your hands to the long loops. You're always welcome to change your springs. You could go to one red spring too. That will be lighter. Good. Last two. And last one. We're going to send our hands down by the hips and hold. We're going to bend the elbows, fingertips to the ceiling, palms face forward, and then arms go nice and long. So we're finding a tricep press here. And so our elbows are staying nice and still. Maybe they're resting on the carriage, or maybe they're just a half an inch above that carriage. Just bending and extending from that elbow joint. We're going to squeeze in that ball. Inner thigh is getting a little bit more work here. If the ball doesn't feel good, just set it off to the side. Last two. And last one. Arms go nice and long, palms flip to face in. Open our arms out to a T. Send the hands back down by the hips. This one might feel the heaviest out of all three of these in this series. So you might want the long loops. Listen to your body. Totally fine if your T is more of an A shape today. So maybe it's a little bit smaller. Maybe it stops before the shoulders. Let's just not go past the shoulders. Shoulder blocks do make it kind of hard to do that though, I will say. Good. Tension in that ball. Knees stay drawing over the hips. So those low abs stay nice and active. Last two. And last one. All right, nice job. Placing our feet on the foot bar. Hanging the straps up onto our pegs. Taking the ball into our hands. We're going to flip onto our left sides now. Got my back to you for this one. Good. Shoulders and hips stay nice and stacked on top of one another. Draw the left knee into the chest. Right heel comes onto the foot bar. Walk the foot forward so the toes are hanging off. Keeping the hips nice and stacked, moving from that right hip joint. Externally rotate that right knee up just slightly here. Pelvis is still stacked. And then we're going to press into that heel, send that carriage away, lengthen through that leg, bend the knees, and come back into the softer. All right, second side here. Might feel a little more challenging because that bottom leg is just not supporting you in the same way it did on the other side. So a little extra mindful of that core engagement. Hips stay nice and stacked on top of one another. Shoulders are stacked. Lifting up through that left oblique, creating that little bit of space. And that looks different in every body. Some bodies have a pretty big space. Some have a little one. Some don't have a space at all, but we do want to find just that activation of lifting up. So we're starting to learn to find that neutral spine on our side. Good. We're finding that activation of that outer right glute here. Knee and ankle, or knee and foot rather, are externally rotated. Last two. And last one. We're going to send ourselves all the way away and hold. And then bend the knee, come halfway in. We're going to hold that carriage still. We're going to do our little clamshells. We're going to drop that knee down to parallel and then lift back up to externally rotated. So we are moving from this right hip joint. That pelvis is staying still. So the hips are not moving back and forth. We're just kind of rotating from this hip joint here. Foot goes with you. It should be pretty annoying on that sock. That's how you know you're doing it right. Foot lifts, knee lifts. Foot's parallel, knee is parallel. Last two. And last one, find a parallel position and hold. Continue to bend and extend. Knee, hip, and ankle, more or less in one straight line. Depending on the height of your foot bar, that might not be possible. But you're aiming for that parallel position in the thigh and as close to parallel as possible as you can in that shin. Toes are hanging off of that foot bar. It kind of just helps that knee to ankle alignment so the knee's not going too far over those toes. Lifting up through that left oblique, we're keeping that engagement in the oblique. Good. Last two. And last one. And then bend the knee and come all the way back in. We're going to flip onto our backs once again. You can set that ball off to the side. You can punch out that top hip. Take your figure four stretch. So crossing that right ankle just above that left knee. Find a little bit of stretch for that right outer glute. All right, when you're ready, we're just going to come to a seated position really quick. I'm going to set my ball out of the way. So there's zero chance I step on it. We're going to change the springs to one red spring. Then we're going to grab our long boxes again. So we're going to take this box, we're going to place it down onto our carriage in that long box position, right in the center of the carriage. Press the box up against the shoulder blocks. We're going to work on our bellies today. So we're going to come lying on our bellies with our heads towards the shoulder blocks. The nicest way to do this, take your hands, put them on the front corner of the shoulder or of the box here, and then like you're a surfer getting on a surfboard on your belly, you're going to come shimmying onto your belly like this. Okay, we're going to have our chest right at the edge of the box. Please feel free to adjust yourself however you need to feel comfortable. We're going to reach down, we're going to grab those straps where they are sewn together. Let's just let our hands rest down on the rails for a second here. We want to think of having a nice long line in our spine so our gaze is just a couple inches in front of our headrest. We're going to squeeze the glutes and hamstrings, reach the legs long back and behind you like you're trying to grow a half an inch longer in your legs. This is going to be a nitty-gritty weird cue, but you're going to press your pelvis down into the box, draw that low belly up and in. That's how you find a neutral spine on your belly. Hands come to the outsides of your carriage. Let's draw them underneath your shoulders, palms facing in. We're going to send the hands back behind the hips and then lower them down, stopping when they're underneath the shoulder joint. So same idea applies here. If this is feeling too light, move your hands up those straps. If it's feeling too heavy, start to work your hands down those straps. Keeping our pelvis pressed down into the box and our belly button drawing up towards the spine. Keep those glutes and hamstrings engaged, legs reaching long back behind you. I find that that's the first thing to go when people start to fatigue. Gazes into that well in front of you. Last one here. Come all the way in. We're going to drop our hands down to these short loops. We're going to take our hands out to a T, palms flip to face back behind you. Send the hands back by the hips. Open the arms out to a T. So we just did this lying on our belly or lying on our backs. So it's totally cool if your T is more of an A today. But let's avoid the Y shape. So we're going to stop when the arms are in alignment with the shoulders here. Good. Legs still reaching long back behind you. If you feel okay and you want to try some arm circles here, we're going to send the hands back by the hips. We're going to lower the hands back under the shoulders. Open them out to a T. Send the hands back by the hips. You are more than welcome to make this circle smaller. Let's just not go beyond that shoulder joint. So we're staying within the range of the shoulders and the hips. Last one here. All right, and then drawing everything back around. Guiding ourselves into the stopper. We're going to hang the straps up onto our pegs. We're going to step off of our box. We're just going to find a little counter stretch here. So we're going to hinge at the hips, round through the spine. Place your forearms down on that box. The cat-cow is calling to you. You can totally take that. Find a little movement in the spine. We just want to make sure we found that roundedness to provide a counter stretch for some of that extension work or that back body work we've just done. We're going to take this box. We're going to put it away for good this time. All right. We're going to go into our feet and straps, cool down. So we're going to change our springs to a red spring and a blue spring. You have the option to choose 2 reds. That'll be heavier. In some bodies that feels like more of a stretch. In some bodies it feels too heavy. For me it feels too heavy, so I go for a red and a blue. All right, we're going to take those long loops, place them over the arches of your feet one at a time. Let's start with the legs out nice and long. Find our Pilates feet position. Then we're going to bend the knees, draw the carriage into the stopper. Knees will separate. We'll reach long through the heels, zipping those legs back together. So depending on your body, a red and a blue might feel like too much of an ab workout. So this becomes very ab focused. Change your springs to 2 reds. It's a little bit of just playing with it, figure out what works best in your body. For me, those 2 reds, they just feel a bit too heavy on my legs And red and blue feels just right. All right, so reaching long through those heels, zipping those legs together. Last two here. All right, reach those legs out long and hold. We're going to take our feet out wide and around, back together, finding our hip circles here. So we're keeping a Pilates V position in our feet as we take our feet out wide and around. We're holding our neutral spine here. We're keeping that core connection, and that pelvis stays nice and still. So if you find that you're kind of losing that core connection as you come out and around, if the pelvis is rocking side to side, make your circles a little bit smaller. Start to play with where you're aiming them. So some bodies like to aim a bit higher, some like to aim a little bit more towards 45. I don't have a universal cue for this one because everyone's body is different. It's just starting to get to know your body, meet it where it's at, focusing on keeping that core control first and foremost. Last one here, legs meet up at 90. We're going to reverse those circles. Legs come out and around, back down together at 45, and then back up to 90. Good. So big inhale takes the legs up to 90. And then a big exhale takes them out and around together to meet at 45. Couple more here. And last one. Out and around, back down, meet together at 45. And then up to 90. Legs come up towards 90. Find your feet in a parallel position, flexing those feet. Pull down on those straps. Good. So find a nice little stretch through the back body here. Stay here. Maybe take your legs out wide and find an inner thigh stretch. Might feel really nice after all that work we did with the ball. I like to rock side to side a little bit here. I'm going to give you about 40 seconds here on your own to take any other stretch that feels good for you. I'm going to take a happy baby today for my first half. So knees wide, feet to the ceiling. Pull down on those straps. Whatever feels best for you, I'll let you know when we're halfway. All right, we are just about halfway here. If you want to switch your stretch or switch your side, I'm going to go for a butterfly. Feet together, knees wide. Let the feet rest down by your hips. Okay. When you're ready, we're slowly going to make our way back to a tabletop position. We're going to take the straps off of the feet one at a time. Find that foot bar. Start to guide yourself into the stopper. Hang the straps up onto the pegs. We're just going to come up to a seated position here. Swing those legs around. So we're seated. I'm facing you. You can face whatever direction you would like. We're going to take a big inhale in, send the hands up to the ceiling. Exhale, round through the spine. Reach up and over. And then take a big inhale in. Start to restack that spine. And those hands up to the ceiling. And then shake it out. Let it go. Great job today, guys. I will see you in the next video. If you like this class and you're looking for more, head to aopilates.studio, where as a member you'll receive unlimited access to over 100 mat and reformer Pilates workouts. Your first 7 days are completely free.